for the fuel cells.
Great. We'll keep a working cargo drone on standby. Just look for a good fuel cell and we'll handle the rest.
Roger that.
Apollo, can we rely on the remaining munitions to stay in place?
Affirmative. With the ship now stabilized, these warheads should remain safely stowed.
The Estrella must have seen a few battles in its day, huh?
While the Estrella's combat history is above your clearance level, Captain, I can share this. Until faced with the biomass, she was undefeated in battle.
And here I was thinking my helium harvest totals made for an impressive record.
Given the damage the Estrella has sustained, I would not expect even a simple system such as this to remain operational. How was that achieved?
The Estrella was built for war. Her high level of redundancy and modularity limits most damage to the compartment that sustained it. In the case of that display, it is still receiving power from micro-generators and integrated capacitors.
All within that part of the ship?
All within that hallway.
We would never even consider building something so vulnerable to the biomass.
Suffice to say, the biomass was not a threat we anticipated. Though I'm afraid beyond that, the details are classified.
Of course they are.
Jack, to gain access to the drive bay, you must activate a pair of controls near the door.
A spent biomass torpedo.
Just like every other that was left behind here. Useless for my research, unfortunately. As soon as one detonates, accessing its incubator is no longer tenable.
Apollo, do these controls operate the door?
Correct. To open the door, both controls will need to be engaged at the same time. The controls near the drive bay door may be used to gain access, Jack.
Apollo, is this the only way into the drive bay?
I'm afraid that's correct, Jack. The fuel cells are stable, but the same cannot be said of their contents. As a result, access is tightly restricted. The door can be opened, however, by using the nearby controls. Jack, the fuel cells are protected behind a large security door. You'll need to activate a pair of nearby controls to gain access.
I've gained access to the drive bay.
Wait, those pillars in the center, are those...
The Estrella's FTL drives, yes.
do they still work?
Theoretically. But unfortunately, they're of little use to us. With such a high concentration of biomass forms in this area, any attempt to remove one of the drives would prove futile.
Dr. Harlan, I'm noticing these techs appear to be less evolved than those we've previously encountered.
Must have carried over from the last time jump. No doubt just as dangerous. I advise avoidance at all costs.
Jack, my monitoring systems are offline here. You'll need to manually inspect each fuel cell in order to determine its viability. Simply scan their data ports to get started.
Do we know what the biomass does specifically to an FTL drive to trigger a time jump?
I have a few theories.
As do I.
And I'm sure they're all equally preposterous.
The drive assembly looks remarkably like Dr. Harlan's FTL, if only a bit larger.
As I understand it, our drives were reverse engineered from the ones left behind on the Astrea 400 years ago. Their functionality hasn't improved since then.
Apollo, Could one of these FTL drives contain a suitable replacement for the fuel cell?
Doubtful. All of these drives are likely depleted from the last jump. And even if that were not the case, I would still advise against venturing too close to those biomass swarms. If we're to leave here with a viable source of energy, it will need to be one of the fuel cells along the outer wall.
Fuel cell located.
Use the data port and I'll expose the cell for visual inspection. Exposing fuel cell for your inspection, Jack.
Empty. I'll have to keep looking.
Jack, before we remove any fuel cells, you'll first need to check their condition. Access the data ports near the cells so I may expose them for your inspection.
Apollo, what are the chances that any of these fuel cells are still full?
The fuel cells were not designed for time travel, so unfortunately the odds of viability are incalculable. Scanning all their data ports will answer your query, however. Accessing fuel cell.
Another empty cell.
Apollo, you're sure there's a good fuel cell there?
I never said I was sure, Captain Rhodes. It's simply the most likely location on my ship to contain a viable fuel cell, if any were remaining.
Right. If any were remaining.
Jack, the data ports you need to access are located on the storage units running along the room's perimeter.
The units may be covered in biomass, but the techs seem to prefer the center of the room.
This does not look good. These cells are all empty.
Accessing fuel cell. Exposing fuel cell for inspection.
Viable fuel cell located.
Hopefully enough to power Dr. Harlan's FTL drive.
Nicely done, Jack. I'm sending a drone your way.
Send 2.
What for? There's only one fuel cell.
Just trust me. Send 2.
Warning, lead drone compromised.
Jack, what's going on?
The ticks swarmed the lead cargo drone.
And that is why you send 2.
I don't think we'll be using that one again.
Backup drone malfunctioning.
More ticks.
The lead drone is disabled, but the backup still has a chance.
Pesky bastards, aren't they?
I'll clear them off. Drone cleared.
Acknowledged. Thank you, Jack. Resuming flight. Drone is in place to collect the cargo.
Jack, I've activated the release controls on the fuel cell.
Fuel cell released.
Cargo secured. Ready for departure.
Excellent. Second gantry's all set. So I'm heading back inside. I can finish the hookup from there, Jack. Unless you want to do it.
I'll take care of it, Liv. I'd prefer to see the job through to the end anyway.
Okay, great. We'll see you in a bit.
Cargo drone returning in T-minus 10 seconds. If you wish to return now, I advise taking hold of the drone. Cargo drone departing in 3, 2, 1. Firing thrusters.
The fuel cell is clear of the drive bay.
Great. We'll have some cargo clamps ready to receive it here. Surprised to see welders haven't changed all that much in 400 years.
That design is actually from a historical archive. It was the standard for most of the 23rd century. I'm afraid it's the closest approximation to a welder I could fabricate. I hope it's acceptable.
Perfectly adequate, Juno. Thank you.
Cargo now approaching the dock. Beginning descent.
Hey there, Jack. Good to see you're still in one piece. Same deal as before. Hookup controls near the cargo clamps.
Fuel cell in place and ready to be secured.
All you, Jack.
Fuel cell secured.
Copy that. System check, Juno. How did we do?
Systems nominal. Both the fuel cell and biomass container are secure and fully engaged with the ship's intake systems.
Well, Jack, looks like things are wrapped up here. No need for you to rush back, though. I'm not exactly eager to send you hurtling through time again.
Of course.
Also, Dr. Harlan could always use more data for his research, if you'd like to continue exploring the station.
Copy that, Juno.
How will this fuel cell interface with the rest of the technology here?
We've made some modifications on the receiving end, but ultimately what matters is that it can produce a strong enough burst of power to jumpstart the FTL reaction.
A duty it should fulfill admirably. At least, for a single jump.
signal relay activated. Jack, you're running out of time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Linking sequence timed out.
Juno, confirm operational procedures for the signal relays.
Once you pull an activation switch, the link timer will reset, giving you 25 seconds to find and pull another one. If you can do so in a timely manner, all the signal relays in a given cluster will successfully re-establish their network and remain active.
Juno, confirm operational procedures for the signal relays.
Once you pull an activation switch, the link timer will reset, giving you 25 seconds to find and pull another one. If you can do so in a timely manner, all the signal relays in a given cluster will successfully re-establish their network and remain active. We are all ready when you are, Jack. Come meet us back on the ship once you're prepared to return to the past. archive. Experimental maneuvering thruster optimization found. Not quite enough data to fully replicate it, though.
This tram rail appears to have suffered a significant kinetic impact and/or shearing force.
The Estrella. When it arrived, it ejected debris into the surrounding area, much of which impacted here. It severed this tram line and pushed Habitat B out of its standard orbit.
Though, at this point, it's for the best. Almost the entire habitat has been consumed by the biomass.
Archive recovered. Experimental optimizations present. I'll need more data, though.
Copy that.
This dock is aligned with maneuvering thruster optimizations. Keep searching for more when you can, Jack.
Acknowledged.
Jack, preparations to send you back to the past are complete. Meet us back on the ship whenever you're ready.
Is Habitat B reachable?
I'm afraid not. It's completely severed from the rest of the facility and beyond the signal range of the systems that currently allow you to reboot.
Oh, yeah, definitely not worth that risk. We can just let this one rest in peace.
This device mounted on the surface of the asteroid. What purpose does it serve?
It's a thruster, part of the reaction control system for the facility. We use them to maintain orbit, station layout, and structural stress tolerances. Basically, they help keep everything in place.
I figured there had to be something like that set up. No way those thin tram lines are able to keep everything in place on their own.
Indeed, these thrusters are of such importance that they operate on their own independent power supply and network. Even in the event of a catastrophic failure of other systems, they're designed to keep working.
That's cool.
Connectivity restored. This dock is now aiding in the development of your regenerative shield, Jack. Maneuvering thruster data retrieved. Not quite enough to reverse engineer the concept, but a good find nonetheless. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 30%. Jack, I believe we have everything we need to send you to the past. Please return to the ship when you're ready. There is a wealth of data here. Much of it will be useful for our work on developing a cure. Good find. Doc online. The archives in this unit have been added to the dataset as well.
This looks to be some sort of depot.
A staging area for construction. Operations here were obviously halted quite some time ago. Nevertheless, it might be worth exploring further. I will leave it to your discretion.
This cargo drone is surprisingly far from the station proper. Juno, what exactly was going on out here?
Parsing local records now. It appears that the nearby cave was found to hold a small biomass infestation. Because of the location's relative isolation from the rest of the worksite, they were using it to run trials on containment systems, and even to harvest samples for testing. It seems this process resulted in the loss of many X3 shells.
Is it possible any of those shells remain? They may possess useful data.
That is an excellent point. Let us hope your shell fares slightly better than those other units. Jack, preparations to send you back to the past are complete. Meet us back on the ship whenever you're ready.
It would appear nearly every drone was.
Indeed. Unfortunately, we still don't have enough data to fully replicate the optimizations. But we now have a sufficient volume of information to develop an incremental improvement. I've already added it to the installation queue. Please return to the nearest fabricator.
Copy that.